diving right in, Zach Baggett, you are a regional manager? Regional manager with Hankook Tires. You guys have been developing out some very cool technologies as it relates to EV tires. And that's something that I think a lot of people, they ask themselves, is that really a thing? Does that matter? And the answer is, well, yeah, there's a lot of technology that goes into tires in general. But when it comes to EVs, there's a lot of little factors around driving an EV, both from a performance, handling, weight perspective, that matters to create longevity for tires and also make sure people have just, again, the best rubber that meets the road. So thank you for joining us. And what are you guys up to?
Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Zach. I handle Pennsylvania for Hankook Tire. And like you said, the rubber meets the road. And one of the most important things in a car, the only thing that touches the ground is the tire. So now that we're in this new generation of EV vehicles, we need specific EV tires fitted on them. And I think the most important thing that I could say is safety-wise. EV vehicles are 25 to 30% heavier. That's well known. I know that there's some people that think, hey, a tire's a tire, we can put it on. But there's a lot of special things that go into an EV tire that makes it safer, makes it more efficient, more energy efficient, and you also don't want a really loud tire too when you're driving a quiet vehicle.
Well, you bring up so many great points, and I think one thing that people often shop about is they just go, what's the price? I need to get 4 tires, just give me something cheap, whatever it might be. And even from the factory sometimes, the tires that are on, from the factory on some of these vehicles, yeah, they work, but they aren't necessarily as good as what you guys have developed. And that's, I think, we even see this in owners groups where they'll say, I got to get some new tires, and so someone will say, hey, go to Hankook, get the Ion, because they'll actually get better range. They will actually get better handling. Yep. And I think it shocks people sometimes that they're just like, isn't it just rubber? I don't get it, what goes in it? And it is compounds, it is technology around, we talked about this a little bit yesterday too, even just like, if you inflate a tire to a certain level, that's perfection. If you have it too low, you put more drag on the wheel. Again, more drag on the tire, more surface area on the road, your range goes down. Little things like that. Most people just are not actively thinking about it.
So what are the specific EV characteristics that your tires specifically are designed to deal with? I mean, you talked about heavier weight, right? Yeah. But there's lots of heavier vehicles out there that are not EVs, so presumably there are tires that are designed for those. But are there other EV-specific factors that you're taking into account when you're designing EV-specific tires?
Right. So, like you said, designing EV-specific tires. At Hankook, we designed a specific tire for EV. A lot of our competitors have an EV-compatible tire. Ours is specific for an EV.
That's a great point, though. Let's pause. What's the difference between compatible and design product for? Like, how would you describe that?
Well, it's one of those ours can handle a little bit more weight too. Ours can do a lot of the other things, but when you're looking for something that's going to hit all the boxes, you want something that was specifically designed for it. And with Hankook, it's okay. We're working. Back on. Yeah, we're back on. So, like I said, we have the
Oh, are we going?
Sorry, it was cutting out.
No, you're
okay.
good, yeah. So compatibility, but specific compatibility, meaning it's like, we're not just saying the tire fits your car, right? Because that's what a lot of people might say is like, oh, is this the right, is it, a 205 R17 or something? It's like, yeah, it might fit, but what you have is developed out again. You mentioned the weight side of it being an important factor.
Yeah, the weight. Right. Yeah, so the weight side of it is a really important factor. Also, rolling resistance, the absolute punch when you get.
Can you explain what rolling resistance is?
Rolling resistance, if you are going to have a tire rolling, there's that drag that's happening every time it rotates. So especially with EVs, the regenerative braking is very important. It feels different. If you've driven an EV tire or an EV car, obviously when you hit the accelerator, you try not to say gas, because when you hit the gas, when you hit the accelerator, that punch happens. But very similar with braking, it feels different, and you need something that's going to be that's going to sink and stay on the road, and that's another thing too. Especially with EV vehicles, EV tires, the uneven wear is very prevalent with EV tires. So what we're doing at Hankook is making sure that as much of that tire is touching the road.
So, and I'm very much a layperson when it comes to understanding tyres, so forgive me. But when you talk about rolling resistance, is that similar concept to grip in motorsports in terms of the tyres that you get there?
Right. So it is grip. It's also the energy that gets put out when the tire's moving. If you have an underinflated tire, it could be sluggish. I know with EV owners, they are very conscious on their range. They're also very conscious.
One of this speaker's coming out, but they can hear you elsewhere. Oh, where's Dylan? I think the wind may have just gotten us.
Test, 1, 2, test.
Test. Oh, no.
Whoa. This whole thing.
We shall pause for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, that whole thing just shifted. Oh, boy. Technical difficulties and wind difficulties.
Talking about wind resistance.
That just shifted like 5 feet. We got all of our...
Yep.
Are we back?
I think it's working somewhere.
Are we back? Check. Oh, Randy, I don't think you're moving that, buddy. There's no amount of spinach that you can eat that's going to make you move that. When the wind caught that used to be tipped up against the back of the stage.
I think mine's...
Are we on? Are we hot? Yes? No? The battery just died?
Okay,
cool.
okay.
All right. Try it.
Yeah.
One more time.
All right. Well, we're going to go back into it.
So rolling resistance, you mentioned, is it like racing and like grip and things like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so the rolling resistance, you have to make sure that you're getting the most energy efficient possible, and EV owners are very conscious of that. You know, they talk about the price of an EV tire, but when you're looking at range, you might have 20 to 30 miles more per trip, depending on how much rubber is on the road, or if it's at a good inflation. Not only that, but how heavy a car is. You're thinking you're cornering 65, 70, 75 miles an hour. Our EV tires are built 25% more for the rigidity for it. So it's constructed, like I said, specifically for an EV car.
I mean, a lot of what we talk about oftentimes as it relates to EVs, people think that they are very, very, very different, and in reality, it is just a car. They've been talking to, it was talking to Liz earlier from Recurrent. She's like, we want you to drive it like it's a car. We tell people that all the time. I think the EV industry in general kind of went out of its way to say that it was different for a long time. But as we're kind of unpacking it, the ownership experience is, again, it's just a car. Once it's filled up, it's just a car. And then the tire aspect to it, it's one of the factors that is the one that stands out, because it's probably the first thing you're going to actually have to do for maintenance on your car is the tire. Yep. And so as you've been developing this out over time, what's the timeline that goes into this type of development to make sure that it is well tested and it also meets the needs of a lot of different factors you've talked about, because the performance features of some of these vehicles aren't exactly the same. Some are putting more power to the ground, things of that nature. How is it this can apply to all EVs in a way that meets all of those different types of models? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I think what's come a long way too is the infrastructure and the ability to stop at almost every gas station now has an EV charger. It used to be such a different thing and people were a little bit scared of it, but now Hankook has been on the forefront for the EV tire a lot, and even mostly in Europe. I mean, when they say they want an EV tire, they call it an ion, because, but with our R&D, our innovation, it is second to none. Our facilities in South Korea from where we are, but also our Tennessee plant, which is going to be having 11 million tires produced annually, is a state-of-the-art facility. And I think you guys should come down and visit it sometime.
I gotta say, the first time I went to a tire facility back in the day was in Florida. I was visiting Southeast Toyota, and they had a partnership. I forget which manufacturer it was, but I walked in, and I immediately said, wow, you can smell that. And all the guys that worked there went, no, we can't. Yeah. We're here every day, and we literally don't even notice. I'm like, you don't notice that? That's incredible. They're like, yeah, well, we leave and go home, and then, the spouse notices. But that's, that thing is the scale of what we're talking about is pretty incredible. I think people, again, they go to the tire store, they get what they think they need for their vehicle, but the scope and scale of what's gone on in tire development over the years is huge. And we talked about this a little bit the other day about how the tire went from being kind of like you even asked, you're like
A feature.
yeah, he's like this used to be a feature, right? Like you rewind 70 years and we had things like white walls and it was almost like an aesthetic element of the vehicle. The wheel has become the aesthetic focus of modern vehicles today, and because of that the tire has had to become far more technologically advanced to accommodate low profile tire settings. I mean, I'm staring right now at that Model S. It's like, man, that is a low pro tire. And then even the different options you see on Rivian vehicles, that is a very standout element of what's changed a lot, frankly, in like the last 20 years. How has that innovation helped with EVs? Has that made it better? Or has that been something where along the lines of like, it doesn't matter. You guys could do a big fatty tire for EVs, or you guys could do a small low pro for EVs, and you guys could still make it work well.
Yeah, so it is a great point because if you look at our array, our Ion Evo AS, you can go down to a very, very low pro tire, or it can go up to a pretty large sidewall. And I mean, if you're talking, like I said, cornering on a low pro tire on an EV with a tire or a car that's 30% heavier, faster, just the torque of it, it's only helping it. We just released our Ion HT, which is going to be for the light truck. So the sidewalls, you're right, they're getting more and more aggressive. I swear, they're trying to figure out ways of not letting the littlest bit missed out with what they're putting on the sides of these tires now. So
no, I mean it's incredible what's happening. Again, these are things that are out of sight and out of mind for most consumers, right? Again, when they think about their cars, I mean, we talked about it the other day about you'll go to an owner's group and someone will take a photograph under their car and say, yeah, do I need to rotate my tires? And it's like, no, you've got steel belts showing, bro. Like that, you've moved beyond rotate. You got to go get new tires. And I think how do we help people understand? Maybe as they're owning the vehicle and up front, owning an EV is a little bit different in the sense you don't have to worry about, again, oil changes, all the different other maintenance components, but this maintenance component is still vital. How do we elevate that into people's psyche about EV ownership to say like, no, tires will make or break the difference about how this vehicle works for you based on range and performance. How do you think we can get that into people's minds better on EV ownership?
I think the main thing I could say is say yes when they ask to rotate your tires. It's as important as anything else you're going to do. The efficiency, everyone, will. They might go 5 miles for 5 cents less in gas, because they can see it. So right, so you have to factor in all of the different things that are involved in these tires, not just EV, but overall. We mentioned the irregular wear. If your tire is underinflated, overinflated, even by a few psi, that could be the difference in maybe a few months. Even you could go from a 400-mile range down to a 320-mile range.
Can I ask you something about PSI? Are the manufacturer's always right when they tell you what the recommended PSI levels are? So when you see that on your car, is that always correct? Should you always stick by that?
Yeah. Yep. Whatever's on the door, stick to it.
Okay. Good to know.
Got a question?
Hello guys, my name is Dwayne, current EV owner. We own a Tesla. My wife Rose is right behind me. Quick question about the tires. Are they allowed to be recapped? Is that something we should be worrying about? Recapping a tire?
So not for the passenger light truck. No.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
No, not for the passenger light truck. You wouldn't be recapping them. No. For you're talking about just a passenger tire.
We have a Model Y.
Model Y. Yeah. So no. Just with the safety nowadays, I mean.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yep.
So for safety issues, they're not allowed to be recapped at all.
Right. Right. Also, the cost efficiency too. I mean, tires are getting cheaper and cheaper. Warranties that are on them, the safety of them can be only guaranteed if it is a brand new tire.
Perfect. Question. If I'm gonna go like a pickup truck, let's say, and I'm in construction, so I want to load it up with sheetrock and lumber and whatever else. Is that gonna slow the car down? The more weight. Will the tire rating, the PSI, like he was saying, does everything need to be 100%, or do I need to calculate for weight?
I'll let you answer, but I think the thought around that is getting back to like the car is the car. Yeah. The technology, the tire technology, and as it relates to suspension technology, frame technology, all of that's going into EVs. The difference being the drivetrain really is the focal point. If you're loading up a fully gas-powered truck compared to a fully electric truck, that technology that's inside of the planning around how that vehicle functions for tires, suspension, brakes, frame, everything, it's again, in that respect, it's apples to apples in that regard. The additional weight we're talking about from the EV, like electric truck compared to a gas truck, you get some really heavy trucks and vehicles. Like, I mean, for example, the Hummer, for example, is a pretty heavy vehicle. F-150 Lightning is, again, a little bit heavier, but it's not to the point, I think, where you need to be overly concerning about, if I load this thing up, do I have to do extra calculations here? Do I got to up my PSI or something? No, I think you're safe. That's my 2 cents based on what I know, but, I mean, obviously, Zach, feel free to weigh in.
Yeah, you want to defer to the car, to what the specs of the car are.
So nothing to worry about as far as the shocks or the suspension is what you're saying. So
drive it like a truck.
Drive it like a truck.
Drive it like a truck.
Perfect. Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna load it up. I'm in construction. Well, I'm in sales, so I do a lot of retail. I own a hardware store. So
I give full credit to the brands that have been building trucks for a very long time. And again, if you see here like Ford next to us, General Motors, and what they've done with GMC for the Hummer EV and now the Silverado EV, they've been doing trucks for a long time. And it required them to do the development process to make sure they could build in the underpinnings of those vehicles, to have those battery packs, to make sure that vehicle is going to be roadworthy to the same extent that they would call it an F-150 or that they would call it a Silverado. So again, I would say drive that thing like it's a truck.
On Hankook Ion HT tires.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I forgot that last part, but I'm glad he
he's got to throw his. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the show.
No, hey, thank you for the questions. Yeah. No, I mean, and again, his questions are great too, because what this points to is a lot of those things that happen in people's minds as they even hear these conversations. Part of the dispelling of the rumors and myths we've had throughout the weekend is some things have just kind of crept into the consumer psyche around EVs. And again, we talked about how we've been kind of marketing them as different for a long time, but in reality, these are vehicles you can trust in the way that you've trusted before. Technologically speaking, there are advancements you can make around things like tire selection as you own the vehicle, but I totally see where he's coming from on, like, is this a crazy question, or can I just beat the hell out of this thing like it's a truck? It's like, drive like a truck.
Yep. So one thing I did want to ask you about, when we're trying to tackle the myths around EVs, or the bad faith myths, one of the ones I'm sure you're aware of is that EVs might be cleaner in that they don't emit exhaust fumes, but they're much dirtier because the particulates that come from the tires are just as polluting as what you get with gas cars, and you get all of that because EVs are heavy and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So what's the truth? So
I can't speak on the cars, but I know that Hankook continues to win awards for our green efficiency, our compounds. We have, like I said, our plant that we are doubling in Clarksville, Tennessee, is state of the art. It's going to be one of the cleanest energy producing factories in the country. So, but you are right. There's a trade-off. There's 6 in one, half dozen the other. But ultimately, we're trending towards cleaner.
At the end of the day, friction's friction. You're driving a gas car, you're driving an electric car. If you're going down the road, you're going to have wear, you're going to have the particulates. All that's a factor. I don't think the weight is to the same extent. If you're driving a Hummer EV, for example, that's a beautiful truck, but heavy. But if you're in a light-duty vehicle like a Model Y, Ioniq 5, Mustang Mach-E, these are comparable vehicles in a way that it's not the extent of that is that much different. So, we do have a question. Sorry.
Hi, Greg, future prospective EV car owner.
All right.
2 questions. Do you have any programs for recycling tires?
Currently, we do not. No, not at Hankook. So.
Is that something you're thinking of trying to implement down the road?
Yeah, we're always looking at it. Yeah, absolutely. Hankook Innovation is kind of our tagline. So we do have different sectors of our company. I don't want to say absolutely no, but no, not in the U.S.
And second question, I'm assuming if someone has to get their tires changed, they have to go to either their manufacturer or one of your facilities, or can any down the road mechanic change these tires?
Yeah, no, any authorized dealer. Some are more comfortable with EV. What's really nice about the EV crowd is I think they are probably the smartest in terms of consumer knowledge.
Knowledgeable about the vehicles.
They care a lot more. They're looking more into it. So but mechanics are really good, and they'll be able to handle it.
Now, if, say, the mechanic down the road wants to get certified to change the electric car tires, there are programs to help them learn how to do that?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for the questions. Yeah.
Just picking up from that, Is there anything different in the process of changing a tire for an EV than from a gas car?
No, there really isn't that much difference. We have a foam inside, so I mean, but the mechanics are used to that. They've seen it in other vehicles, but it's a noise or a sound absorber for it too. That's I mean, it gets it into the other part. We talked about safety, we talked about performance, but also EV tires are quiet. I was looking at a study the other day that said that a normal internal combustion machine has 50% of the sound in the cabin comes from the drivetrain. So, and that is 15% in an EV.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of people who have EV tires, they say, or EV cars, I hear the wind now.
Yeah, you hear the rushing of the wind going by.
You hear the rushing of the wind going by, but it's we have the sound absorber technology, but also even just little small bumps in our sipes. We have made it so that it actually lowers the road volume as well. So
that little element is it's just interesting. You can get to that minutia of design to say, what does this do? It lowers road noise. Yeah. I mean, that's the scale to which this technology is being developed. So I mean, we've oh, go ahead. You have one more?
No. I mean, I think it's really interesting because you're thinking about, what is different about EVs from a standard ICE car, and it's weight, it's kind of the torque, and it's the quietness. Right?
Yeah,
those are the three things that you want to be able to address in a tire that's designed for EVs.
And it's amazing that like the road noise piece is so funny because like first time I ever got an EV on the highway, I was like, yep, I can hear wind. Yeah. That's different.
You notice it. It's funny. The first thing you notice is, wow, this goes really fast, and the second is, this is kind of weird how quiet it is.
Yeah, I mean, long ago, I mean, like there was conversations like, can we make them louder? And I think over time, I've grown to appreciate. I don't want to do that. Right. But back in the day, like when I was tuning cars, oh yeah, I was making my cars loud. But I mean, it's an element of ownership that people have really grown to love, and I think that's a big part of it. The performance combined with what you describe, it is performance, but it also is a different experience inside the cabin. Yeah. And again, that's part of why Expo exists, is to get people behind the wheel so they can experience that. So I guess last comments on where do people find out information about Hankook and the Ion Tire?
So you can look on hankooktire.com, but just our full array in America is our for the Ion side. We have the Evo, which is our ultra high performance, the Ion Evo AS, which is our all season. We have the Ion HT, which was just released. Like I said, it is for our light truck cars, a little bit bigger tires. We also have two different versions of a winter tire. We have the ICEP, which is a studless tire, and then also the Nordic Ice, which has studs on it. So you can do that. We have a manufacturer rebate happening right now until the end of November, $100 off a set of Ions, and but all of the social medias, check them out. We do a really good job of educating the customer.
Well, again, you are here at the Expo, and that speaks volumes because there's a lot of other brands that are still trying to figure out where their footing is in this space, but you've been embracing it at Hankook. You've been making the tires happen. You're at events like Expo informing people on this. So Zach, thank you so much for coming by. This has been a great conversation. This is the EV Reality Check booth. It is powered by GreenCars.com.